After transferring to Tennessee his senior year, Dalton Knecht just had a breakout season for the Volunteers, winning the SEC Player of the Year while also having 8 30-point games. In this video, we're going to go over what exactly makes Knecht such a lethal scorer and what parts of his game will translate over to the NBA. Now, the first thing we have to look at is Knecht's outside shooting. Physically, Dalton stands at 6'6", with a 6'10" wingspan, and along with that size, Knecht also has a pretty high release point on his jumper, which allows him to rise over contests. And then on top of those physical tools, Dalton also has really efficient shooting mechanics, by simply catching and getting the ball to his set point with no wasted movement. You'll see Dalton here initially catch this pass outside of his frame, but watch how quickly he gathers it, then gets it immediately to his set point and fires. So Knecht's combination of size and polished mechanics makes him a lethal spot-up shooter. If he gets any kind of airspace on the perimeter, it's going to be a rapid catch and shoot 3. You'll see him here catch the swing pass, and from this spot, there's no wasted movement into his shot. And that kind of floor spacing is going to bring immediate value to any NBA offense. Now, Dalton is much more than just your typical standstill spot-up shooter. Tennessee this past year loved to run Dalton off a variety of off-ball screening actions, and Knecht has the footwork to aggressively blast off these picks to then settle his feet for balanced jumpers. And Dalton's also comfortable moving into shots from different angles, being able to both run through passes into his shot as well as drift away. This setup and shot here is pretty tough, where Knecht is running out towards the corner, and as he receives this pass, notice how swiftly he catches and rotates his body to get himself angled to the rim. Off the ball, Knecht also has a pretty good feel of space, being able to read where the defense is shifting to then relocate to spots and generate these looks. Now, if Dalton isn't working off the screen, he's not really the most aggressive mover off the ball, but he still has a good enough feel to shift to open space from time to time. So as a spot-up shooter, Knecht checks all the boxes, having the size to elevate over contests, a quick trigger off the catch, and the footwork to shoot on the move. And Knecht also has the ability to create threes off the dribble. Overall, I wouldn't say he has the most dynamic or advanced game off the bounce, but he does have the footwork and ball control to push his man back and rise up for on-balance pull-up threes. And Dalton also has the control to stop and separate for an occasional step back.
On one with Reeves, step back Jay, Knecht.
Now, Dalton creates most of his pull-ups out of pick and roll, where again, he's got the ability to attack into open space and punish soft coverages by the defense. And Knecht is comfortable pulling up going both right and left. You'll see the defense here sag off and give him a cushion with the ball, turning this into an in-rhythm right-hand pull-up. In pick and roll, Knecht also has the ability to turn the corner and rise up for mid-range pull-ups. And this is where he really maximizes his height and reach to elevate over the defense. Coming into the league, I think this could be a big part of Dalton's scoring, especially with the floor typically being more spaced out in the NBA. You'll see him here work off the screen to his left, then snake back across attacking into this open space, where he again uses that elevation to rise up. But this leads us to one of Dalton's biggest weaknesses as a scorer, which is going to be his ability to create separation. When playing off the dribble, Dalton heavily relies on his size to generate these pull-ups. He will occasionally get to a step back or lateral separation move, but they're few and far between. And most of Dalton's off the dribble scoring comes back to him simply dribbling into open space and trying to elevate over the defense, which leads to him taking a bunch of these difficult contested shots. And I think this is why Knecht's pull-up shooting numbers last year were pretty low. Now, I don't think this is going to make or break Knecht's stock as a prospect, because he already brings a good scoring punch with his off-ball shooting. But going forward, in order for him to take the role of being a primary creator, he's going to have to add more depth to his game off the dribble. Now, Knecht also does plenty of damage around the basket. Athletically, he gets really good lift off the floor. If he catches with any kind of airspace in front of the rim, he's easily got the ability to explode towards the basket. And that athleticism makes Knecht a handful to deal with in transition, where he has the ability to both fill lanes off the ball and lead the break as a ball handler. And again, while I don't think Dalton has the deepest bag off the dribble, he still has enough ball control to attack with a head of steam and physically overwhelm the backpedaling defense. And Dalton does have pretty good ball control when attacking on the break. Watch him here pick up and step across the paint to then extend out into this left-hand finish. And all those physical tools translate right over to Knecht's attacking in the half court, where again, if he has open space to attack into, he's got the strength and explosiveness to extend into finishes. You'll see Dalton here pick up some momentum with the ball by first sprinting off his handoff, then immediately driving off this ball screen, and he's able to keep that momentum as he turns the corner to then attack the big's body into this layup. Now off the dribble, notice how Knecht is going to back up, giving himself this runway to attack his man, and he's able to dust him with his left to right crossover. When attacking from a standstill, I also think Knecht has an underrated first step, where he can create driving angles by simply dropping down into straight line attacks. You'll see the defense here heavily playing on Knecht's left side, so Knecht is going to simply drop down into this right hand drive. Then he's going to pick up and explode off 2 feet. So overall, I think Knecht has the tools and foundation to be a really effective downhill scorer. He's got the strength and vertical pop off the floor, plus he can also leverage the outside shooting to create these drives. But similar to his outside shooting, I do think Knecht is lacking some depth and creativity to his finishing. Everything he does is in a straight line, and his only real option in the paint is to explode and try to attack the shot blocker's body, which obviously isn't going to work against elite NBA rim protectors. So going forward, I would love to see Knecht add some different euros and pro hops into his game, plus maybe play off 2 feet and add some shot fakes and step throughs. Now as a scorer, I think Dalton Knecht has a pretty good foundation in his game. He's already an elite spot-up shooter who's comfortable shooting on the move and off the bounce. And athletically, Knecht is an extremely physical and explosive driver. I think that by itself will make him a great off-ball piece for any NBA offense. But in order for Knecht to grow and take on more responsibility as a player, I think he's going to have to get better at consistently creating space off the dribble, while also adding more depth to his finishing in the paint. Now the next thing we have to look at is Knecht's defense, and this is where I have more mixed feelings. Now I think Knecht does his best work defensively off the ball, where he has really good awareness, by constantly putting himself in the right spot and being earlier on rotations. Take this play for example. Creighton's going to run this pin down screen, but notice how this Tennessee player is going to fall down, forcing this big to rotate out to contest the shot. But watch how Dalton on the weak side is going to shift over and box out this big to help Tennessee secure this rebound. Knecht was also a pretty effective defender in gap, where his size allowed him to shift down and disrupt the ball handler, while also preventing any kickout pass. But this brings us to my biggest areas of concern, because while Dalton in college was a very good defender in scrambles, I still question whether or not he has the foot speed to effectively guard like this in the NBA, because the game there is much more spread out, and there's usually 3 or 4 guys on the court who can both knock down spot up threes and put the ball down to attack closeouts. And I'm not sure if Knecht has the foot speed to effectively contain the ball on these scrambles. Now when transitioning over and looking at Knecht's on-ball defense, this is where I think his lack of mobility becomes even more of a problem. Dalton throughout last year struggled to contain quicker guards off the bounce. Knecht naturally has a pretty upright stance, which makes it tougher for him to slide and rotate his hips to stay in front of the ball. And that upright stance also makes it tougher for Knecht to fight through ball screens, where he doesn't really get up and pressure the ball, allowing his man to easily turn the corner. Going forward, I think Knecht's defense is going to be the biggest factor to how effective he'll be in the NBA, because offensively, I think he's already got the tools to fit in pretty much any system. But defensively, Knecht is kind of stuck in this in-between area, where he's too small to defend in the paint, but also lacks the quickness to step out and guard on the perimeter. If he can find a way to simply not be a liability on defense, I think he can quickly become a pretty effective role player for whatever team drafts him. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.